Hello and welcome back to the garden. So today I'm going to actually clean up this mess, but I'm going to do something more than just clean up this mess. I'm going to try to dig up the canna that are located here that I started off as maybe one or two rhizomes, and now they've spread in and amongst the gladiolus. And the gladiolus themselves are quite, in this space, particularly congested. So I'm going to try to dig up some of those gladiolus today and see if I can't save some of them. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with them if you ever even figured it out towards the end of this video. But before I get to doing all of that, this right here I thought was something I had planted. I was wrong. This bush here is a sea myrtle. It's, I think, a cousin of the wax myrtle that I have all around the property. And it did have lovely flowers in the late summer, I believe, but it was also shorter. But yeah, I don't want a bush here. So this thing right here, this thing, that's got to go. This morning as I was walking around the garden, I actually found at least two wax myrtles that were growing in my flower beds. They spread like seed like many other plants. The birds eat their berries and then they spread the seeds, and then you wind up with random plants in your garden that, if you don't know what they are, if I knew what this was so much sooner, I would have taken it out of the ground. But because it's towards the front of the bed, I thought maybe it's something that I planted that I forgot what it was because I didn't have a label there, and well, yeah, now it's a bush, it's a shrub. So this will be coming out today. So just like that, we are clear. Yeah, right in here are the canna, and what probably just started off as two small clumps has grown into one ginormous one. And as I've stated in the beginning of this video, it started growing out into the areas where there were gladiolus. The gladiolus areas were also very dense, and this year they did not flower hardly at all, and that could have been due to a number of factors. One of them is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, gladiolus are heavy feeders, so maybe they didn't get enough nutrients from the ground, and maybe that's why they didn't flower. So that's one of the things I'll be correcting this upcoming year. But I do want to try to get some of these out of the ground to sort of thin out the gladiolus areas, and I definitely want to get all of these canna out of the ground. And no matter what I do today, though, I don't think I will get all of the canna out of the ground because they grow by rhizome, and all you need is just one little piece that gets left behind and it'll start sprouting up anew. I had that happen somewhere else here in the flower beds where I thought I dug one out and I had left a piece behind and a new canna started growing. And if you don't catch it right away, it will just continue to grow and the rhizome will spread, and then, you know, more canna shoots will come up. And this is in growing zone 8B, by the way. If you're further north, you probably won't have this problem. If you're in an area where your ground freezes, then you're definitely not going to have this problem because the ground freeze will kill off the rhizome. We grew them on Long Island, and every year my wife would dig up the cannas that she had to save the rhizomes to plant out the following year. This way she wouldn't have to continuously buy more. But if you're in a warmer environment where the ground doesn't freeze, this is going to be a problem. So let's start digging. The other nice thing about removing all the canna from this space is it will give me an opportunity to plant something else in here, which I'd like to do this upcoming year. What? I don't know. Definitely something flowering, but I don't know yet. But definitely something in this area. A large mass maybe of something. Oh, not zinnia, because the deer eat zinnia. It'll have to be a perennial, but I'll figure that out as we get closer to spring. In the meantime, here's just one little clump that I dug out, and they're both very viable. The other thing I did when I cut these back is I let some of the tops up, and this way it's easier for me to spot where the plants are. Here's another one, perfectly good. Just needs to be cleaned up. Hopefully you can see by the mess here in front of me, I have dug up most, if not all, of the canna. As I probably said before, there's probably little bits and pieces that are in there that will come up in the springtime. And then I can either decide to leave them there or dig them up at that time once they poke their little heads up. The other thing that I did while the camera was off, because I've been at this for a few hours here, I dug up some gladiola. Some of these are bigger than others. Actually, there's quite a few here, and it felt like I wasn't taking up enough as I was digging. But there are a bunch of gladiola in here, which is a good thing, because I'm going to put these in the greenhouse and let them dry out over the next week. And then I can bag them up and give them out as Christmas gifts. Now, these gladiolas were mixed. It was a mixed lot I got 2 or 3 years ago. My wife actually purchased, I think it was about 3 years ago. And we planted them in various clumps. I planted them in various clumps around the garden. By digging up the gladiolas, I've done 2 things. One, I've alleviated, hopefully, the crowding. And hopefully then, once I fertilize this area, or actually I plan on fertilizing basically all of the flower beds before the springtime. But once I do that, hopefully there'll be a lot more nutrients to go around to all the gladiolas. The other thing that I noticed where some of these gladiolas seem to have died, and there are lots of little babies where that original bulb was. So all the very small bulbs, or corms I should say, I'm leaving behind, and they can grow up to become all big new gladiolas. The canna, I will do, well, it's supposed to be warm the next few days, so what I think I will do is lay them out to allow the soil around each of the clumps here to start drying off. And then I will probably at that point start breaking them apart and then wash them. And I think I have to have this done by Thursday, because then the temperature starts dropping rapidly again. I don't know if you've noticed I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt here, because it's going to be about 70 today, and I think 70 tomorrow, which would be nice. And I think around Wednesday or Thursday, I think Thursday, the temperature's supposed to be dropping. But these, I have massive clumps of canna here, and that's not even counting all the bucket. And from each of these clumps, I could probably maybe get at least a dozen. You don't need much to grow a whole new plant. So I just tore a chunk off of rhizome here, and I have several eyes which are already starting to come off, and lots of roots. So hopefully you guys can see this. Several new ones coming up. Lots of roots. This is more than enough. This one little plant will create, in the right conditions, i.e. down here in East North Carolina growing zone 8B or warmer, this will probably be a whole new clump in 2 to 3 years. They grow pretty rapidly. And they're very, very hardy, except for freeze. If the ground freezes, then the roots or the rhizomes will probably die. So that's the game plan. Go through, wash out or clean up as much of the canna as I can, figure out what I'm going to keep. I'm going to bag a bunch up or put some in boxes for Christmas gifts. Because I have some relatives who live local who would enjoy, I think, hopefully, enjoy some of these canna. Now that I have the space cleared, I can now start thinking about what I want to plant in here, but I'm pretty sure that right up front there was nothing. So that presents me with a new opportunity for next year that I could probably grow some sort of plant right along the front edge of the bed. Yeah, I'm not going to be planting these anywhere else in my garden. I have several of the clumps throughout the garden here in the flower garden that I'm just going to have to try to keep on top of and not let grow so aggressively or so much. Well, guys, let me know in the comments if yeah, I just grabbed this plant and shook it and another piece broke off. And again, real easy to divide. You don't even have to think about dividing. There's no, just tear them off. Just these roots fall apart on their own. They tear off on their own. They're very aggressive under the right conditions. I think quite a few of these are going to wind up going into the trash. I know that may upset some of you, but again, down here in my garden, they grow like weed. I will have cannas coming out of my ears for many, many years. If you guys have any questions or comments, or if you wanted to see more, please let me know in the comments below. As always, I posted up some more quizzes and polls up on the YouTube community page. So head over to the YouTube community page, check that out. If there's something that you'd like to see on the community page or even on this channel, please let me know in the comments below. If you guys have dug up stuff from your garden and given them out as Christmas presents, please let me know in the comments below. And with all that being said, I'm going to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.